I've decided to read a little bit of a pirate book each time. So the plan was initially that I would do 15 minutes of reading and filming, just to get some kind of momentum and motivation into doing more creative things in the way that I like being creative. And while I'm not used to being on this side of the camera, please bear with me, I thought something really simple was to take my favorite books and share them with you in this way. So the first one that I'm going to start with is The Memoirs of a Buccaneer, because it's really cool. Just going to grab that hat. So, joining us on our debut episode of Rereads is Zoe in her, oh my darling girl. She's very cute, and she will read with us for a little while if she stays put. So, we've got the girl, we've got the tea, and we've got the book. And she's going to start biting me now. Aren't you? You going to start biting me now? Because I'm holding her too much. She doesn't want to be held. Funny that was written a long time ago. And I'll, instead of fumbling through my own knowledge, going off memory, which I was about to do, I'll just read the intro, and then you can hear it straight from me, from the book, through me to you, which is a really roundabout way to read a book, but maybe you'll enjoy it. So, the introduction, The Agony of St. Malo, August 1944. The American army, having made a mass landing in the north of Calvados, broke the human dike, which... Oh, God. I feel like the inexperience of being on this side of the camera is starting to affect me, and I'm just going to have a cup of tea because I feel like that's probably how professionals normally go through this. Badly informed about the exact strength of German garrisons, General Patton feared an attack on the right flank of another fucking Roman numeral corps, which is really unnecessary, I have to say. We're not even in pirate times now. Sorry, that's just me being an uneducated fool and not being able to read Roman numerals. It's gonna be great. Cat. As you can see, this is a really, really interesting bit. And it's going to go to the history of the manuscript, this being the manuscript. August 1945, my friend Gustave Alox, a painter of sea subjects, went to St. Malo to repair the great canvas he had painted on Duguay Tuin lived, and which Hemar had turned into a rich... Oh, fuck, this is boring as shit. I really don't care about this person. They just... Yeah, I don't know why I don't care. I probably should care, but I just don't. And I did read this book, and I think I skipped the entire introduction. If you want to actually see the manuscript, we have a photo of the manuscript. It's great. Don't know if that's in focus because the camera's over there and I'm over here. And Zoe's a shit camera person, I'm going to say. She's down here. How and why I set out for the American islands. It will perhaps be surprising that a certain captain of the filibusters, a man of the sword rather than of the pen, has decided to father this great scribble and cover several large copy books with ink. It will be less so when I have related that in my youth, before pursuing adventure on the seas, I had already studied for the church. My parents, who nursed this ambition for me, placed me during my 12th year in the little seminary of N. But when I reached puberty, my sexual inclinations oft-times left me to break out, and this, becoming known, did not fail to cause trouble. They then aspired to shut me up, but it was not so close or strict a prison that a scamp like me did not succeed in escaping. In short, it happened that I got with child the daughter of a linen draper of the neighbourhood, and Monsignor, the bishop was pleased to see in this that my ecclesial calling was not as certain as could be desired. I left the little seminary, but of the studies I made there, I have always retained a taste for fine writing and good speech. I am not sorry that those who read these books may learn from them that one can be a rough and valorous fighting man without being, for the same reason, a boorish and vulgar lout, as is printed every day amongst 1,000 other falsehoods in the gazettes and all the writings of impetuous and ill-bred pedants. Excuse me. It should not be expected that I shall here tell the whole of my life. Not that it has been dull in the least, rather the contrary. But if I undertake to relate in detail all of the feats of arms and brilliant deeds that I have accomplished rapier in hand, I should need for that not less than a great work of 15 or 22 quarto volumes. Therefore, I will restrict myself to committing to paper only a few of the singular events at which has been granted to me to be present either as an actor or a spectator. It is a pleasant pastime for a man of some brain to occupy his last years in reminiscence, and how better can one remember than that with a pen in one's hand? I'm sure it's going to be a lovely journey to go down this manly pirate's life with my voice and my face. Perhaps next time I'll do this in drag. Should have done it in drag. Of my childhood, it would be enough to know that I was born on the Ile-de-Ré in Ornis. I'm very sorry for all my French friends that I mispronounce everything. Yeah. My father was a native of Saint Malo and Ile in Haute-Bretagne. He had come to Ré with Monsieur de Torras, who at Saint Martin put up so fine a defence against the English in the time of Monseigneur the Cardinal du Plessis, Duc de Richelieu. Having met my mother there, and the war being ended, my father married her and dwelt in that land. I was the 9th child of a family of 11, to wit, 6 girls and 5 boys. If I except a sister who took orders from another who married a cooper of Artir, where she still lives. The mother of 13 children, 7 of them still living, and the grandmother of 28. Geez, that's a lot of kids. I am the sole survivor of this family, of which I will say little, since having left for the American islands at a very early age, I so completely lost sight of all these people, and I was scarcely more concerned with them than they were with me. But somehow he knows that they're all dead. So having left the little seminary, and not being able nor willing to be dependent on my parents, who looked upon me after my adventure with the linen draper's daughter, of which I have just spoken, as a waster and a scurvy rogue, I entered the service of a cook shop keeper in the town of Barrage. A cook shop keeper? Why aren't they called cook shop keepers anymore? I like that. Sounds cool. Say it. It's fun to say. Cook shop keeper. Fuck, I lost my spot. Sorry. He entered the service of cook shop keeper in the town of Barrage, and from there I passed on to Nantes, then to Rouen, and finally to Dieppe. I followed the most diverse trades without finding one that could assuage my hunger, which was already great. It was in this town of Dieppe where I lived for 2 years and 3 months, that a skillful fencing master took a liking for me and greatly desired to give me some good lessons in his art, even though I could not pay him with money, for I was poorer than a rat. I hardly dare to write that I recompensed him for his time by introducing him to the girls. He liked them youngish, slender, and frail, and when he found them, so he was open-handed enough. I saw that later it was by no means only girls that he liked. This was on the day when he sought to engage my interest in another weapon than a rapier. On that occasion I made my escape, and as was often the case thereafter. I ought to say that the lessons he gave me, I am speaking of the rapier, were of great use to me, for in no part of the world have I encountered anyone who could hold his own with me, and whom I could not floor in a few moments, and that quite prettily. It was about this time, weary of always having an empty belly, tormented by the taste for adventure, and all inflamed by the fires of youth, I resolved to leave my country in order to serve as a labourer, which is to say, as a slave. These things will pass from my mind and will be lost into oblivion. I am determined to put them to paper, and managing thereby to escape that oblivion, which seems to me quite undeserved. But I am not unaware that this is doubtless an empty pretension and illusionary ambition. I am conscious of men's lack of curiosity concerning the things of the past, if they are not related to the victories and struggles of princes, the rivalries of kings, and the bloody wars that follow them, from which some derive much glory and others much resentment, according as they are viewed by those who were the victors or by those who were the vanquished. That, my dears, is the first chapter of Zoe and I.